Hey everybody, happy Saturday night. I am Angenette Levy and welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for being here with me and for joining. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up button if you would. It really helps the video in the algorithm. Also, if you haven't, I would love to have you as a subscriber. I'm trying to reach a brand new goal of 38,000 subscribers. That would be fabulous. We'd love to reach 40,000 if possible, but 38,000 is the goal right now. So would love to have you as a subscriber. And if you like hanging out here, would love to have you as a member as well. Thank you so much to the mods for being here tonight. I see Monana is here. Mel, Mac, and Monty are all here. Thank you for helping me out tonight. And they will be keeping you company in the chat. Also, if you guys would, let me know where you're watching from in the chat. I would love that. I love going back and watching in the comments and in the replay, chat replay, comments, whatever you want to call it, where you're watching from. Because sometimes we have people from just the United States, and a lot of times we have people from other countries, and that is super, super cool. Hi, Sirius Black. I see you in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so I have a couple of things I'm going to talk to you about tonight. The first thing is this case out of Letcher County, Kentucky, that's really insane and crazy. So we'll talk about that. But at the end, I have something really funny to show you. And it's about the Murdaugh case. I interviewed Alec Murdaugh's attorney this past week about that new Hulu documentary, or it's not a documentary really, it's a TV show based on the case, Murdaugh, A Death in the Family. And Dick Harpootlian takes issue with some of it, and he thinks the acting is just fine. He thinks the acting is quite good, but he doesn't like some of the things that are going on in that show as far as the storytelling, some of the things like that. So I will play a little bit of that for you because I think that you will laugh and have a good time. And how often when we talk about this stuff can you laugh? Not very often. And Dick Harpootlian is quite the character. So also, please let me know if the lip sync issue is better tonight. I'm trying a different computer this time around. I've got my other computer sitting right here. So I've got this other computer that I'm trying out to see if that fixes things. Had a mishap with my awesome computer that I love so much when I had the thumb issue going on really badly. So water and computers don't mix. So I'm beginning to wonder if that might have had something to do with it. So we are going to talk tonight. We are going to start by talking about this case that is actually really crazy. It is the killing of Judge Kevin Mullins. Judge Kevin Mullins was killed on September 19th of last year in Letcher County, Kentucky. And he was shot to death by his longtime friend, somebody who had worked for him for years as a bailiff, the sheriff of the county, Mickey Stines. This isn't a whodunit, far from it. This is a why did he do it? And is it a murder? Is it a manslaughter? Was he mentally ill at the time? That's what this is. Those are the questions that exist in this case. And what's so crazy about this case is that the entire shooting was captured on video. I, of course, am not going to show you this shooting. It's horrific. I am not going to show that to you. But I will show you what happened beforehand. I will show you what happened beforehand. So Mickey Stines, he's a big dude. Here's Mickey Stines talking with his friend. This is his friend, the judge. And this is right before this happened. This is Mickey Stines, the sheriff. You see him sitting across from the judge. The judge is sitting, only I think in Kentucky can you sit in, and maybe in Letcher County, Kentucky, can you actually just sit in your chambers and smoke a cigarette. I don't know many places where you can do that. But this is just before the shooting happens. So I'll back this up just a bit. There are even other people. Look at that. Other people. This is 2:39 p.m. on September 19th of 2024. Judge Mullins is sitting in there, basically holding court in his office with a bunch of people. Mickey Stines is right there in the doorway. He walks in and they're just sitting in there. And then Mickey Stines comes in. Judge Mullins is smoking a cigarette. These men had even been out to lunch earlier that day. Their regular lunch. They had gone to the bar where they usually hang out. To our knowledge, it doesn't sound like anybody believed that anything was amiss. Now, look, all these people clear out. Who knows what happened? Did Sheriff Stein said, hey, y'all, because they say y'all, you're going to hear a little bit of that. Did he say something like, hey, I got to talk to Kevin all by myself? But he's sitting there talking to him and everything seems to be okay. Now, it's important to note, it's important for me to tell you that days before this happened, Mickey Stines had been deposed in a civil lawsuit. Letcher County and Mickey Stines, as in his role as sheriff, were being sued by a woman named Sabrina Atkins. Sabrina Atkins had been an inmate in the jail, and she wanted to be out on bail on GPS monitoring, as who wouldn't, right? Wouldn't you rather not be in jail if you didn't have to be? So she had to be overseen by somebody, and she couldn't afford the GPS monitoring or whatever. She needed some assistance. And that's where Deputy Ben Fields comes into this story. Deputy Ben Fields was able to provide her somehow with assistance in getting the GPS monitoring in exchange for having sex with Sabrina. So Sabrina says that she would have sex with Deputy Ben Fields in the chambers of Judge Kevin Mullins after hours in exchange for some help with this GPS monitoring, getting out on bail, etc. Well, you can't do that. When you're in a position of power and you're a deputy, you can't be like, hey, yeah, you want to have sex with me? And I'll kind of wink, wink, nod, nod, help you out. That's a total abuse of power. And I can say that this happened because he's been sentenced for this. He's been convicted of a crime for doing this. He's admitted to it. Sabrina has filed a lawsuit. There's a lawsuit pending about this right now. So Mickey Stines had been deposed a few days before that. He had been very nervous about this. He had been kind of freaking out about it. And people had said he just wasn't himself. There's another question. Why is Ben Fields having sex with Sabrina? Why does he feel comfortable enough to have sex with her in the judge's chambers? So that's another piece of this puzzle. Well, it turns out Sabrina, before any of this happened, guys, before this shooting happened, before Sheriff Stines shot Judge Mullins in his chambers that day, well before, months before, Sabrina had been interviewed by investigators with the Kentucky Attorney General's office. And she had told those investigators, and I have the audio recording of it. I've played it on Crime Fix several times, but she had told the investigators that there are videotapes that exist, to her knowledge, that showed Judge Mullins having sex with girls and like, I guess videotapes, like, I don't know, VHS, whatever. And, when we say girls, I'm not talking children or anything, but she was referring to women. But she's saying these tapes exist. Sabrina is. So what I can tell you is that I know people who have actually, I know people who've actually dealt with Judge Mullins and Mickey Stines, um, because Judge Mullins and Mickey Stines, I guess, were doing things in the county to help people such as Sabrina, who were struggling with opioid addiction. That's been a huge problem in states like Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia. It's been a big problem in many, many places in this country over the last several years. But it's been particularly bad in places like Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, places like that. So Mickey is deposed in this lawsuit, and it's stressing him out. He's being accused of not properly training Ben Fields. That's his part of this lawsuit, why he's being sued. So Judge Mullins and Sheriff Stines, they were doing things like, in their law enforcement and court official capacity to try to help people. They have their lunch that day. Before this scene in the office, they have their lunch that day. And everything at lunch seemed okay from what everybody's saying, their normal lunch. The judge before this piece of video is on the bench doing his normal court business, his docket. And then he comes in here and I guess lights up a cigarette. Only in Kentucky do I think you can light up a cigarette in a judge's chambers, but maybe I'm wrong about that. You're not supposed to be having sex in a judge's chambers either. So there they are. They're talking. Now Mickey stands up. Look, Mickey's got his cell phone in his hand, right? Mickey opens the door. We don't know what he was doing there. And look, there he goes back to his chair, puts his hands then behind his back. His cell phone is still on the table, you see there. The cell phone's going to become important here in a minute or two. And so he's just sitting there talking to the judge. If only we had audio to help us understand what's going on here. But these are two guys who have been friends for a long time. Mickey was the bailiff for Judge Mullins for a long time. So Mickey probably has a lot of information, knows a lot of stuff. At some point, the topic of Mickey's daughter comes up. And we still, to this day, don't exactly know why. But as this conversation continues, and we're going to get to that point, and I obviously am not going to allow you to, I'm not going to show you the shooting. But the topic of discussion turns to Mickey's daughter. And Mickey wants to call his daughter. And his daughter, he calls her, tries to call from his phone, and then he tries to call from the judge's phone. And so that, at the beginning of this story, after this happened, became a big deal. A big deal. Everybody's like, why is he calling his daughter from the judge's phone? What is going on? All these rumors started to circulate. Is there something going on, or was there something going on between Judge Mullins and the daughter? Why else would a sheriff of a county on video take out his service weapon and shoot the judge right there on camera? What on earth? Why would he do that? Let's see if we can skip like a minute or so. So they're just sitting there, right? Mickey's phone is still on the right there. Mickey's phone's still there on the table, you see. And then he's going to walk back over. So we'll move up here. So the conversation continues. I mean, it doesn't look particularly stressful. We don't know these guys. We don't know how either one of them looks or acts when they're stressed out. But Mickey certainly, he's just kind of sitting there stroking his chin. He leans back. I mean, he's a little bit, I would describe it as fidgety, if you will. The judge just kind of sitting there hanging out. He's got, I never noticed this until now, all those, oh, look, there goes Mickey on his phone. So Mickey picks up his phone. There's got a stack of cups there. I guess the judge likes his coffee cups there, those disposable cups. Got a whole stack of them. So there's Mickey picking up the phone, trying to make a phone call. It almost looks like a FaceTime call or something like that. I can't exactly tell, but he's trying to do something on his phone. It's like, is he making a call, a FaceTime call? To me, it almost looks like a FaceTime call that he's trying to make. But based on that reflection, he hangs up. He puts the phone back down. He leans back over, and you see him right there. He's talking to Judge Mullins. And it's very, very, in some ways, kind of confusing because it's like, what is going on? Yeah, I don't know if he's got the cups for beer pong or what. Who knows? Yeah, it looked like a FaceTime to me too. And we know he was trying to call his daughter. Dolly Talk just sent a super chat. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. To my knowledge, no, I don't, Dolly Talk. But thank you for the super chat. I super appreciate that. Thank you so much. To my knowledge, I don't even want to use that word. To my knowledge, but to my knowledge, I don't have any stalkers. But hey, you never know, right? But no, I don't. To my knowledge. Thanks for the super chat again. So there's Mickey, guys. I'm going to back it up because he's obviously got the judge's phone now, right? Here, let's back that up. So look, here's Mickey's looking at his phone. He couldn't reach his daughter for whatever reason. And look, he's like, "You got your phone?" I almost feel like I can hear him say that. So he takes the judge's phone. I feel like right now he's kind of looking at his phone, and then he picks up the judge's phone and he's trying to talk to his daughter. So I don't know if he's trying to look at his daughter's number. Sometimes people don't always know people's numbers these days. It's not like when you used to have to know people, you had to know people's numbers to dial it. Now it's like you just program somebody's number. So he's trying to call his daughter again, right? Again, if we only knew what was being said. If only we knew what Mullins was saying to Mickey and vice versa. Sunshine says the judge looked nervous when Mickey asked for his phone. So here we go, guys. Mickey stands up. Mickey is not happy. Something's wrong. He walks over and Mickey's got his gun out. And this is when you can see Mickey's got his weapon, his service weapon in his hand. And he walks over and he proceeds to shoot Judge Mullins. Judge Mullins actually tries to kind of cower and escape. I mean, it's when they played this video during the preliminary hearing, I think everybody was a little shocked, but it definitely shows you go over that threshold of probable cause on having to show what happened. Everybody was stunned, I think. It was shocking. I think we all were watching the screen like, oh my God, whoa. And we could not believe what we were seeing. So Mickey is taken into custody. I'm now going to show you what happens. He doesn't resist or anything. Mickey does not resist. Not one bit. And you're going to see and hear how paranoid he was.
Come on, guys. No, come on now, guys.
I'm not sticking nothing.
No, now.
There's 2 body cams running, Mickey. It's all recorded and there's a digital recorder running. That will be, look, show you that it's running. Look.
Come on now, guys.
No, look, Mickey, we know.
He keeps telling them, like, don't hurt me. Like, he's afraid. Even when they're driving him to the jail later, he's afraid they're going to take him in the woods and kill him and hurt him. I mean, he's incredibly paranoid. But he literally thinks they're going to hurt him and do something to him.
Known each other a long time. Look, it is recording. That one's recording. Clayton has a backup recorder running.
Oh, now, come on, guys.
What do you think? Slow down.
We can't talk in the hallway of the courthouse. Mickey.
Yeah, there's
You know
people
that.
here.
People here, we don't want to.
I mean, there's people in that room. There's people in that room. We can't do that.
So what's the problem?
I'll get another one. I'll put one on me. You want that? Let me, okay? But I can't be in the room.
Come on.
Mickey,
Come on.
Is there somebody that you trust other than us that you would prefer to be with us?
Mickey, we've known each other our whole lives. I'm not gonna let anything happen to you. I have no reason.
Come on now, guys.
Mickey, you have to
Good,
go. You
jail,
have to be
safely,
moved.
fair.
You have to be moved at some point. Mickey. We've got 2 body cams running.
Get to the
We're not
jail,
going to do
safe,
anything.
fair. And would you have a trial?
Would you talk to us in the jail down there? Do you feel safe down there because there's cameras everywhere?
Are you gonna move me after the interview?
They bosses have had.
I mean, I'm not trying to dictate how it goes, guys. I don't know how this works.
I know.
I'm not gonna feel safe in a room here, but
We're not gonna hurt you, Mickey.
Listen,
Why would
just like Anthony, I've known you for 20 years, but we're not going to hurt you.
Yeah, he thinks they're going to hurt him. Now, a lot of people, I saw somebody say, I thought he was faking it here. I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm not so sure he was faking it. Because this goes on for a while, even on the way to the jail.
That's why we have 2 body cams and a digital recorder running, Bub. I promise you.
I ain't got nothing.
I know that, but that ain't what we're worried about, Bub. We just can't talk in the hallway of the courthouse. Plus, there's people looking. We need to go somewhere out of here. And
Pull
you're
my
not.
pockets inside out.
That's what like cracks me up. Like he's like, plus there's people looking. Well, of course there's people looking. The sheriff just shot the judge in his chambers. Of course there's people looking. They're like, we can't just talk in the hallway. We got to take you somewhere. And he's like freaking out. And he's like, well, there's people looking. Well, get the people the heck out of that courthouse. Like clear that place. My God, nobody should be in there. So it's kind of wild whenever I hear him say that.
It ain't that bad.
No, pull my pockets inside out. Now, guys, y'all don't do me this way.
What do you think? We're going to do contraband? Okay, here. Yeah, okay, here. I'm sorry. We're not going to do anything. That's the least of our words. Did you get that other one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mickey, if we went down to the jail where there's cameras, if we all, us three walked down there and we was in cameras there, would you talk to us then? I mean,
What is it you want? Explain that to us.
so if we go down to the jail, I got my camera on, Clayton's got his camera on, we walk down to the jail where there's cameras going all the time. Will you talk to us there? Will you feel safe there?
No, I'm not gonna feel safe.
Now, later in the video, the topic of Mickey Stines' daughter comes up.
Do you want to talk at all, Mickey?
Earlier you said you wanted to talk to them. Listen.
Okay, this is yesterday's crime fix. So she does. His daughter comes up, and I'm going to play some stuff for you of his daughter, Lila, later. But he was trying to call his daughter, remember, when he was in Judge Mullins' chambers. So he brings up his daughter again. So listen to this right now, very closely, what Mickey says about his daughter.
Mickey, if you don't want to talk, that's fine. I ain't gonna force you to. Okay, we're not gonna force you. If you don't want to talk, that's your right. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I read you your rights. Well, and you know, you're the sheriff. I mean, you know just as much as we do.
Okay.
But it's up to you
If I can see my daughter in person here
before you leave. Is that what you want?
at the jail,
At the jail.
yeah, at the jail, through the screen, on the phone, I want to see my daughter in person. And then after that, I'll tell you everything at that jail, in front of cameras, video recorded.
Where's your daughter at?
So he said, I'll tell you everything. Mickey Stines has a story to tell. I will tell you everything, but he wants to see his daughter on a screen. He thinks, and I've talked to Jeremy Bartley, his lawyer, several times. Jeremy Bartley has told me on Crime Fix a few times that Mickey, at the time that he shot Judge Mullins, that he believed that his wife and daughter had been taken. Why? We don't know. We don't know why he believed that, what Judge Mullins said to him, what was being discussed. But Jeremy Bartley straight up told me on Crime Fix a couple of times on an older episode, at the time that Mickey Stines shot and killed Judge Mullins, he believed that his wife and daughter had been taken. He said, I'll tell you everything. I just want to see my daughter.
Where's your daughter? How do we track her down? Where's she at?
She was at LCC earlier. She was at LCC, I talked to her.
So, now, Mickey, I want to kind of, for your daughter, let's talk about this, for your daughter, okay? If she finds out that her dad is being arrested for shooting the judge, and she's in high school, I didn't know how old she was, so I didn't know. So she's in high school, what is she, a senior? That's going to be hard.
She will want to see me. She will want, now come on guys, be fair to me now, it's all
I
I'm asking.
am being fair, that's the only thing I just wanted you to think about that. How is she 18?
Be fair to me now, guys.
Well, hold on, is she 18?
Be fair to me now.
No, I'm asking you.
Come on, I want to see my daughter in person.
Is she 18?
I want to see my daughter in person.
How
You
old
got a
is she,
kid?
Mickey?
Because
I do have a kid. I've got grandkids.
Yeah.
I got 5 grandkids. 5 grandkids.
Listen to you.
I just want to see my daughter, man.
If she's not 18, we're going to ask your wife. We have to ask your wife if it's okay. You know that. Is she 18?
Christine and LaShawna both said they were both on their way here when they were in here. There was all kinds of people in here just running around chaotic. So
Okay.
how am I going to tell you what happened?
Everybody's asking what's LCC. That's Letcher County Central High School. Letcher County Central High School.
To the judge?
Yeah. You know, Christine LaShawna said my wife and daughter's on their way.
No, but you just said, how are you going to tell us what happened? Everybody's running around chaotic.
It was. I just want to see my daughter.
Is she 18? How old is she? If your wife's out there with her, she ain't 18, we can ask if that's okay. But if she's 18, we just ask your daughter. So that's what I'm getting at. If she's not 18, we have to ask your wife. Do you think they're outside?
But Shauna and Christine said they was on their way. Let me talk to them too.
You want to go ask them around?
Hit that button right there.
No, this is recorded. His is
Guys, come on now. Be fair.
You know what? So there's that. So he wants to see his wife and daughter. He especially wants to see his daughter. And Jeremy Bartley said to me, he thought at the time that he shot Judge Mullins that his wife and daughter had been taken. Now, Jeremy Bartley has said to me, that he believes this is going to be an extreme mental disturbance case. And there's an extreme mental disturbance statute in the state of Kentucky. And that statute, can allow for different defenses under the law in the state of Kentucky. Jeremy Bartley has also indicated that this could be considered, this case may very well not be a murder case, but a manslaughter case in his view. He believes Mickey may have committed manslaughter and not murder. And so he hasn't gone into more detail with me about that, about what Mickey has told him. Now, when Mickey was first arrested, I mean, he looked like a hot mess in court. Like he would just during the prelim and stuff, he just sat there kind of like if you look at him, if you go back and look at the footage, he was just kind of staring. So something was up, and he had been to the doctor. I'd have to pull up the documents to show you, but he had been to the doctor in the weeks leading up to this shooting. So, it's going to all be up to the jury. Now, the jury, that's a question. Is this going to be tried in Letcher County or another county? The Commonwealth, the prosecution wants a change of venue in this case. Do you know how rare that is for the prosecution, the Commonwealth of the state of Kentucky? Well, it's not, it's a state, but it's the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The prosecutors want this case moved to another county. That is pretty rare. It happens where a prosecution team will ask for a change of venue, but it's not often granted. The defense, meanwhile, wants they want this case tried in Letcher County because Mickey is popular. This is where the crime occurred. And I'm sure that they believe, well, Mickey's got a lot of support in Letcher County. And he knows, where all the bodies are buried. Mickey knows the deal. He knows the dirt. And there is a lot coming out. I mean, the Kentucky Attorney General's office interviewed Sabrina Atkins months before this happened. I've asked, and they won't respond to me about it. The AG's office. What the heck happened to Sabrina's interview? Did you guys look into that? What happened? Are you investigating? Did you investigate it? What is going on down in Letcher County? Did you just drop it? Crickets. I get nothing. Why? So guess what? All this is going on, right? We've got Sabrina suing the county, Sabrina saying that Ben Fields was having sex with her and probably other people in Judge Mullins' chambers, Sabrina telling the AG's investigators that Judge Mullins was having sex with girls. There's videotapes of it. All these rumors flying around, even though Jeremy Bartley, the attorney for Mickey Stines, said there was nothing going on, nothing untoward going on between Judge Mullins and Lila Stines, the daughter of Mickey Stines. People still were talking. They were still talking. And they continue to talk. But there was nothing going on. So Mickey dialed his daughter's number in Judge Mullins's phone. It wasn't like stored there or anything. And it makes sense that he wouldn't be able to get a hold of her if she was in high school and she was at the school. You know, maybe he couldn't get a hold of her because of that. And maybe they couldn't have their phones there. So this week, big shock. Lila Stines, Mickey Stines' daughter, the daughter he wanted to see that day, she gets up on TikTok and she posts a video. Lila Stein posts a video. So let's look at video number 1, because it wasn't just one. It was one video at first, and then it turned into 3. So let's look at what Lila Stines has to say.
Lila Stines. I am 18 years old, and I am from Letcher County, Kentucky. Most of you may know me, and the others may recognize my last name. On September 19th, a little over a year ago, a lot of people's lives changed forever, including mine. I'm not going to go into detail. I will not be talking about it. But I just have one question. Do you all not have anything better to do than to sit and gossip? You are taking my pain and making it your pleasure. You're taking our stories and turning them into big entertainment pieces, jokes, and for that matter, you're making it your income. Since when did that become okay? So my advice to the people doing that, get a job, do something meaningful with your life, and contribute to society in a positive way. That's all.
Okay, so can we first of all just say Lila's a beautiful young woman. Don't you think she's beautiful? And Lila needs to please share with Angenette her light kit and her under eye highlighter. I'm like totally like admiring her lighting situation. So she doesn't, I think she's talking about people who've been spreading a lot of rumors about her and her family, things like that. Because I'm assuming that this has really been some bad stuff for her and her family. Sunshine, why would Mickey's daughter answer the judge's phone but not her dad's doesn't make sense. I don't know the answer to that question, and she didn't answer. I think there was a question about whether or not his phone was working, whether the call was going through right or something to that effect. I don't know. But I think he was just trying the other phone. So this is video number 1 that Lila posted, and she's, I think, talking about like people just gossiping online and saying there's been people saying a lot of stuff online ever since this happened. So then Lila the next morning decides she's going to post a second video. So Lila posts a second video the next morning.
Video. When I posted that video, I only had about 950 followers. I did not think it would go anywhere. I thought, people from home's going to see it, maybe a couple others, and that'll be that. So the first thing I want to say is I had good intentions with that video. A lot of you were asking, what stories? What do you mean by gossip? And what I mean by that is the stories that were made up about me and the other party. And that is where the gossip comes in at. I wasn't actually talking about the situation and what actually happened itself. I was more leaning towards the rumors that had been spread about me. I am aware of how serious this is and how much of a big deal it is. I was not talking about news or social media. I was simply talking about the people who sit at home behind a keyboard all day and say terrible things about my name. That's who I was talking about.
So she's saying the people that are saying something was going on with her and Judge Mullins.
At the end of the day, I'm just human. I'm just trying to learn how to process and cope with it all. I do want to add one more thing. A lot of you were saying, girl, this happened a year ago. Like, why are you still going on about it? To you, it happened a year ago. For me, when I wake up, it's the first thing I see on my phone. It's the last thing I see when I lay down. And I'm not looking for it. It's just right in my face. I have to deal with it every day when I wake up. So no, it's not gone. It's not died down. It won't for a while. I come on here today.
So basically, Lila is saying, she gets online every day or goes on her phone and there's stuff on there every day about her and Judge Mullins. And that's super sad. Really, really sad. So Lila posted then another video, a third video. And I think that, she wants the truth to come out about what's been going on in Letcher County. There have been a lot of rumors, a lot of discussion about women being or feeling like they were forced because of their economic and legal situations into having sex with people they didn't want to have sex with. And there's been talk about women being trafficked and things of that nature. And so the question is, who's known about this? Why hasn't anything been done about it? And what does Mickey Stines know? I mean, it sounds like he knows a lot. He's like, I'll tell you everything. We don't know that he ever did that, but he literally said to those cops, I'll tell you everything. And so there's something going on down there. I mean, we all know that, but he had a story to tell.
This is my friend Ashley, and she just made a video about our private investigator, Joel Cotton. I have his email. I will leave it in the description down below. If you all have any information at all concerning the corruption in this county, in this small town, please reach out to him. Please. He's not only trying to help the situation that happened here, he's also trying to help Ashley figure out what happened to her dad years ago. I also want to say, if there is anybody out there saying he is misrepresenting himself, I can name 2 people. I want to tell you that he is not. He is legitimate, he is the real deal, and he is trying to help everyone in this small county.
So Lila is brave. I think she's a brave young woman. She's probably privy to a lot of information. And it sounds like somebody wants to, let some sunlight in there. You know what they say? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And she's not really addressing her father's legal situation. She's probably been advised not to do so. There's all this legal stuff pending before the court. So she's like, there's corruption here and she's going to fight. It sounds like she's ready to fight for the truth. And she doesn't seem to have any fear, which, wow. For, there's already a lot of, there's a spotlight on this small town and in that county. And when you get into these small towns and in these rural counties like this, they can be pretty corrupt. It's sad. You see it out east in Ohio, especially, like you go out east far enough, there's corruption everywhere. It doesn't matter. Big county, small county, city, small town, whatever. There's corruption everywhere. But when you get into these smaller places where they can be a little more economically depressed, there's more room for corruption. So it's very, very sad. So let's move on now. I've talked about that for quite a little bit of time, but we're going to keep a close eye on it and see what comes of it. So, and how many women come out saying, yeah, I was pressured into this, or I was trafficked, or I was this, or I was that. I will be interested to see how many women come up and come out and say, yes, I was trafficked. because it's a horrible thing. These women should not be treated like this. Especially when you've got people who are like, oh yeah, we're helping people struggling with addiction. We are running programs down there. We're doing this, we're doing that. When really it's almost a front for nefarious other things going on in the background. That's sick. That's really bad. Horrible stuff. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is this Murdoch documentary. Or not documentary. I keep calling it documentary. It's not. It's a TV show. It's a TV show based on the Murdoch story. And I told you I would play this for you because I think it's so funny. Not the case itself. It's a horrible case. Alec Murdoch, self-admitted criminal, thief, liar, swindler of people who trusted him. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth from a wealthy family. And he had it all and he threw it all away. He got hooked on pills, on drugs. Some people suspect he was doing, running drugs or part of running drugs, things like that. He was convicted of murdering his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul, back in 2023. The murders happened in June of 2021. They were both shot with different guns on their Moselle hunting property. And he, to this day, says, I didn't do it. I did not kill them. Somebody else did it. And so I covered the case from beginning to end. I'm still covering it. Dick Harpootlian was one of the lawyers for Alec Murdoch at his trial and is still his lawyer. They think they're getting a new trial on the murder case. And yeah, he was caught on Snapchat. It was the kennel video. Alex said he wasn't down at the kennels that night. And then Paul had recorded a video at the kennels. I actually have that video in a crime fix that posted today. He said, I wasn't down at the kennels that night because Paul and Maggie were shot down at the kennels. He's on the kennel video. I don't know how they ever overcome that since Alec lied about being at the kennels. And you hear Alec's voice on there. Well, they didn't have that video for months until the Secret Service broke into Paul's phone and found this video. And you could hear Alec, Bubba, Bubba, that's the dog, because Bubba had a chicken or a guinea hen or something in his mouth. So Dick Harpootlian's not a fan of this new show. So I wanted to play this for you so you could hear why Dick Harpootlian doesn't like the show. And I thought you guys would laugh. And he dropped some F-bombs too, but only in the context of him quoting the show. But we had to drop the audio on those, unfortunately. But it was funny to hear him say the F word. And he doesn't care. He doesn't give two F words, if you know what I mean. So let's go back and play the kennel video real quick. Just because it's like you're never going to get over the kennel video, right? So here's the kennel video. Alec told the cops, I wasn't at the kennels. He told everybody, I wasn't at the kennels. So here's the kennel video first.
Quit, Cash. Quit. It's okay. Come here. Sorry, Dad. Come here, Cash. Shit. Come here. Post it. Cash.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Got a bird in his mouth. Bubba.
Hey, Bubba.
It's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
Now you could hear Alec Murdoch on. Okay, so Alec Murdoch said, I wasn't down at those kennels. Well, the tape doesn't lie. Alec was down at the kennels. He was definitely down at the kennels. So now I got to play for you guys this interview, part of this interview. And Dick Harpootlian not holding back. Let me tell you, it was so funny. I was dying laughing the other day. He does not like this show. He thinks the acting is fine, and I'm trying to find now where I scrolled away. I had this all queued up for you. But he's going to talk to you about why he doesn't like this show. Specifically, that you can point to that you saw in the show that you think just doesn't ring true. It's not accurate. He says they make stuff up.
Well, they make they conflate the timeline. Just it's hard to sort of sort all that out. But again, I only watched an episode and a half, and it was so inaccurate and so. Look, they've got me being played by a guy who has an accent like Foghorn Cleghorn. I mean, it was just horrible. And when Paul and I didn't stand in the courtroom, I lean over to him and say, stand the f*** up. I mean, I don't think I've ever said stand the f*** up to any defendant, let alone Paul. And of course, he doesn't say stand the f*** up. Okay, so, I mean, it's just.
So you didn't like that you were made to look like Foghorn Leghorn, the big old rooster from the cartoons.
Yes, right. And last night I'm told, I've stopped watching it, that Alec is in one episode, the one they showed last night, his cell phone goes off. He looks at it, and across the screen it says Dick Harpootlian, me. He picks up the phone and says, Dickie Poo, how you doing today? No one in my life has ever called me Dickie Poo.
Not even your wife?
Never in my life has anybody called me Dickie Poo. And don't you call me Dickie Poo.
I will never call you Dickie Poo, ever.
But I mean, it's just stupid. This is stupid stuff. Who writes a script and puts in there, have Alex say, call his lawyer Dickie Poo? What? I mean, it just it's not a serious effort to tell the story. It is a serious effort to monetize misery.
So, I just couldn't wait to like tell everybody at work about this. I was like, Dickie Poo. I was like, guys, in the morning meeting, yesterday, I was like, don't you ever call Dick and I like Dick Harpootlian a lot. I think he's super smart. I think he's a good lawyer. I think he's hilarious. Don't you ever call him Dickie Poo. So we were all dying laughing because we were, I don't want to sound like a weirdo, but we were endlessly entertained by Dick at the trial. Like he's quite the performer. He's quite the courtroom performer. He's great to watch at a trial and in court. Do not call him Dickie Poo. Don't you call him Dickie Poo. Does not like it. Not one bit. So I was dying laughing, and I might have even laughed at the Foghorn Leghorn thing. I mean, he said literally they hired some guy. He's like, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I do not sound like Foghorn Leghorn. Like if you guys don't know who Foghorn Leghorn is, Foghorn Leghorn, a lot of people might not know because that's like a really old cartoon. Foghorn Leghorn is that big rooster from I forget. I mean, Foghorn Leghorn is the rooster from I forget which brand is it it's not Hanna-Barbera. I forget what it is. Warner Brothers, maybe, the really old cartoons. But here he goes. Here he said that they made him sound like Foghorn Leghorn. He does not like it. Here's Foghorn Leghorn for just a second.
Your toes. What toes that is? But the fast ones get right by you. Keep your ears open. Yappity, yappity, yap. I can't get a word in it.
So he thinks they made him look like Foghorn Leghorn or sound like Foghorn Leghorn. I'm going to have to watch. I really haven't really watched much of this thing, but he doesn't like the way he was cast, and he said they make up stuff. So here's a little bit more of Dick. This, I guess, is based on the life of, or the story of, or the story through the eyes of this Mandy Matney, who hosted a podcast about this and caught some fire during the case. She's been, she has a lot of fans, but she's also received a lot of criticism, for her tactics and things of that nature. So, do you think that's part of why this show is the way it is? I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming she had some input, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think her claim to fame early on in the Murdaugh case, was that she had sources at SLED, the State Law Enforcement Division, that were giving her confidential information. The biggest break she got was that she reported that SLED had seized Alex Shirk the night of the murders, and SLED tests had come back and shown there was blood spatter on his shirt. Blood spatter is a fine mist that's generated when somebody is shot and typically comes back onto the shooter, and that it was Paul's blood. And that was reported, months and months and months and months, maybe a year before this trial. 90 days before the trial, my office, Holly Miller in my office, is looking at all the records that they furnished us, and they literally furnished us hundreds of thousands, if not millions of documents, was going through, and you got to look at all of them. I mean, it's a criminal case. You got to look at every one. So she opened a folder that was supposed to be a witness. Can't remember the witness's name, not really relevant. And in there was a SLED report from the SLED chemist indicating that the blood on Alex's shirt was not human blood. Now, that was consistent with what he had told us, that was a shirt he went fishing in a lot, and after he caught a fish, he might gut it, put a fine spray on it. So she was putting out SLED propaganda that it was human blood, it was Paul's blood. And by the way, the fact that it wasn't given to us in the normal fashion, here's our test results. And more importantly, when they tested the shirt, they destroyed it. So we had no opportunity to run our own test. So she's out there pumping this out for the prosecution. She was a partisan. She was for the prosecution. She expressed that from the get-go. And so, I mean, if she helped write this movie, it's very, very explicable as to why it is. She believed, and by the way, the SLED agent that didn't give us that report denied knowing that it wasn't human blood, admitted on the stand he lied to the grand jury in this case, and most recently was confronted with hiding evidence on another criminal case. So
David Owen.
Pardon me?
David Owen.
Yes, and so she's his apologist because he was her source.
Interesting. Well, I don't call me Dickie Poo. I feel like getting him a T-shirt. Don't call me Dickie Poo. So I was dying laughing. It was a hoot. That's all I got to say about that. It was an absolute hoot. I see you guys all talking about the format on YouTube. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're talking about. Something with the @ symbols. So I'm not really sure. Everybody's saying he sounds like Foghorn Leghorn. I don't think he sounds like Foghorn Leghorn. I just don't, but that's just, my opinion. So it's just funny, but I think Dick's super funny. I think he's a good lawyer. I think the kennel video makes it impossible. Alec Murdaugh had no good explanation on the stand for him being at the kennel and for lying about it. So I can tell you that right now. So anyway, I just had to share that with you because I felt like, guys, that was the funniest thing ever with Dick saying that. And it's very rare that we get to actually laugh when talking about these stories. And so we got to laugh there. And so it was worth it. We have another super chat. Thank you so much, Bluebird711. That's very generous of you. Have you checked out the documentary, The Alabama Solution? I would love to hear your opinion concerning that. And if you know any updates, I have not checked that out, but I can try to check that out. I am going to, after this, go watch some TV. Just to update you all on my ails. I hate to talk about this, but I got my neck worked on today and my back. I was in a lot of pain yesterday and last night, so I had to get something done today. And I'm starting to hurt a little bit now, so I'm gonna get off here and probably go watch a little bit of TV. So maybe I'll check that out. I want to recognize our new members tonight. We had somebody gift some memberships, which was super nice and very generous. Thank you so much for doing that. That is very sweet. I'm going to pull that up right now. I have to figure out a way to favorite that and star that and all that good stuff. So I keep the person. I wanted to put it up on the screen. Where'd it go? There it is. That one guy, Georgia. That one guy, GA, gifted memberships, and that is super, super generous. Here are our new members. I'm going to shout you all out. 9mm and Lipstick. Welcome. Tom C, welcome as a new member. Zimmy, welcome. DD's, welcome. And Fran, welcome. Welcome to all of our new members. I really appreciate that. That is very kind. If you'd like to become a member, you can do that. Just there's a link on our homepage. I can probably drop that in the chat right now if the mods haven't already, but they probably have because they're so fantastic. Also, guys, we might have some other stuff going on. I haven't had a bunch of Coburger stuff going on this week. We talked earlier this week about that whole, the extra restitution for Maddie's and Kaylee's families. There's going to be a hearing on November 5th about that. Also, Tyler Robinson, remember him? The guy accused of murdering Charlie Kirk. He's accused of assassinating him. He wants to, his lawyers want him to appear in plain clothes and in no handcuffs in court this week. There was a closed hearing about that yesterday. Please tell me why that hearing had to be closed to the public. They transported somebody from a jail about that, and it made me wonder, oh my God, did Tyler Robinson say something to an inmate in the jail? Like, is he going to try to escape? Like I'm just wondering out loud. So why are they transporting for this hearing about whether he should be allowed to wear street clothes and no handcuffs? Why are they transporting an inmate from the jail for that hearing and then closing the hearing to the public? Why are they doing that? It doesn't make any sense. But he's expected in court this week. So it would be really interesting to hear what is going on with that. And then Luigi Mangione, I covered him on Crime Fix this week. He apparently, his whole, we got to get into that some other time. If you're interested, please let me know if you're interested in the Luigi Mangione case, because I feel like people aren't that interested in it. Whenever it's really discussed on YouTube, I don't feel like a lot of people are really that interested. I don't know. It's kind of wild. But I really appreciate you joining tonight. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we're going to wind this down. Remember, we have the memberships. I'd love it if you would subscribe, and please give me a thumbs up. That really helps the video in the algorithm. Also, feel free to let me know which cases you'd like me to talk about. This one with Mickey Stines, I'm going to be following very closely. I have been following it very closely since it happened and will continue to do so. Also, if you've been watching on replay, thank you so much for watching on replay. And remember to let me know where you've been watching from. I love that. City, state, country, you name it. So we will all talk again sometime again very soon. Have a great rest of your Saturday night, your Sunday morning if you're overseas. And I've got more stuff to tell you about coming up. So stay tuned. Mods, thank you so much. Everybody, have a great night. And I got to come up with a great sign off. I got to come up with some snappy sign off. So I'll work on that too. Bye, everybody. Chat soon. Bye-bye.